Awesome. How is it, Lambros?
It's going well. How are you doing?
I'm good. I don't see any fires behind you.
No, no. Thankfully, I'm out of the fire zone. But they did
Nice.
say there's smoke in the air, so I don't know. I haven't seen it. Haven't been able to smell it or breathe it, so I don't know what's going on. But,
Yeah, I haven't read too much on it. I've seen pictures from the East Coast,
okay.
and they're getting some yellow skies and some fogginess from the fires.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I've seen the same pictures as well. But the real estate market's on fire. That's for sure. So,
yes, yes, it
Nice
is.
pivot. Nice pivot.
It is. That was a very good
yeah,
pivot. Um,
yeah,
yeah. So what's been going on up in your area with real estate? I
yeah.
know we'll get into it
Uh,
with the show, but
Sure, sure, no problem. Yeah, absolutely. I didn't mean to jump the gun here a little bit
no,
if
it's
you
all
guys have
good.
other questions or anything, but yeah, I mean, things have picked up a lot since about early March or so. We've had a ton more supply come to the market and even more demand, right? So the demand right now is outpacing supply. Uh, Month over month, it's almost getting back to normal levels that we saw last year. Took a dip, and during the pandemic was crazy. So I kind of don't include those 2 years or three
Yeah.
years or whatever they are. So I'm looking at pre-pandemic numbers, and we're close to the averages, pre-pandemic numbers. So we're getting back to a normal market right now.
Yeah.
But we are seeing, with the low supply, we are seeing bidding wars again. And we're getting an average of about 3 to 4 offers per sale, right? So
Yeah.
anytime somebody goes to put in an offer, there's going to be at least three other people bidding at the same time. Yeah, on
Yeah.
average.
Yeah. And that's good to hear that the interest rate didn't stunt the demand side of things, which is good to see.
Well, yeah, that might be too early to tell, right? Because we had, like, I don't know how it works where you are, but here we just had an interest rate announcement yesterday. So after a couple months of keeping the status quo, our brilliant government decided to increase rates again yesterday, another quarter point. So it's going to be interesting to see how that affects the market. And there
Yeah.
may be more coming. There's next announcement is in July, so if it bumps up again, I think the market's going to take a hit a little bit because it tends to slow down over the summer anyway.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. Where are you guys at right now with interest rate? Can you recall what they announced?
Yeah, the overnight rate is 4.75. So that's the rate that the banks get charged.
Yeah.
Then there's a 2.2 percent on top of that. So our prime rate is 6.95, right? And then it goes from there. So you can get a mortgage at prime plus or prime minus or whatever the case may be. Most line of credits are at prime plus a half. So you're looking at about an average of about 7 to 7.5 for mortgages, lines of credits, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and we're gonna dive into that with the show because there's not a lot of people that understand when they make the announcement and they make their rate,
Yeah.
that isn't the rate you're getting, that's
No.
the rate the bank is
Exactly.
getting, and then
That's
there's
right.
on top
Yeah.
of it. So that's a super
100%. Yeah.
cool dynamic. If we can
Yeah.
jump into that,
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
that'd be awesome.
I
Yeah.
don't
That'd be
think we
good.
have to like
Um,
stop. Just keep it going and just say, hey, yeah, yeah, we're back, and yeah,
oh yeah, we'll skip the intro.
yeah, or just
Okay. Yeah. Whatever you guys want.
I mean, because everybody knows Lambros. This is your fourth time on the show, I believe.
I've lost count. I don't know.
Yeah, so everybody knows Lambros.
Yeah.
We're jumping right into it.
All right. Cool.
Uh,
Cool. Yeah.
episode
so
14. Okay, go.
episode 14. Yes, I
Episode
I
14.
was
I've done
on.
4 of them.
What is that?
Wow. You said episode 14 and I've done
Of
4 of
season
them.
three.
Season three.
Oh,
Season
season
three.
3. Oh, gotcha.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the interest rate part, I just want to go right off of that because we're on it.
Okay.
When the federal government comes out and gives those rates and they make the announcements, the one thing that I've had to talk to buyers about is that's just one piece of the pie.
Mm.
Like you said, there's prime on top of that, and then
Right.
there's, I don't know if you want to call them fees or
There are I don't know if they're fees, but they're just what the bank charges, right? So you can get a mortgage at prime plus, or you can get If you got really good credit and really good down payment, you may even get a prime minus, so whatever it is, they might give you a discount. So there are discounts on certain lenders. Usually the major banks will give you a discount on certain things. The smaller lenders, if you don't qualify for a prime lender, like an A lender, you may have to look at other options like a B lender, C lender, private lender, and those tend to be more expensive. So they'll tack on more on top of the prime.
Yeah. And then I just had a random thought, and I don't know if you'd be able to answer it, but through the buying process, they always talk about buying points. So when you originate your loan, you can purchase points, which is you giving them money up front and they lower your interest rate. Do you know what section of that loan you are paying the points to? Is it the prime? Is it
that's over my head. I'm not really a mortgage guy, so I don't really know that part of the game.
Yeah.
So
me either.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have to talk to a mortgage person about that. Yeah.
Yeah, those are the ins and outs of
exactly.
The legalities of it that I'm
Yeah.
curious on, but
Sure.
I'll talk to the right person on that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you guys you're underneath this new rate now, or where does that take effect with the announcement that just happened yesterday where they said it was 5.5? I believe
4.75 is
4.75. I apologize.
That's okay. The key rate or the overnight rate, they call it, so that's the rate that the banks pay.
Okay.
It was 4.5. And actually going backwards, it was before all these interest rate, we had 8 interest rate hikes last year in 2022. It was at like 0.25, like almost nothing, like zero.
Yeah.
Right. So then they started increasing, and now it's jumped up to 4.75 in just over a year.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the shock that
yes.
That homeowners are going to have when they go to renew their mortgages. So if they took a mortgage out at say 1.5% or under 2%, now they're going to go and renew, and it's going to be at 7 or something percent, right? So
yes,
yeah.
And the magnitude of that isn't felt until you amortize your loan and you see the total amount.
Correct.
I was just looking at something yesterday so if you bought a house during that COVID period where money was free, $300,000 loan, 3%, and it extrapolated what your total payment would be. In today's market, if you bought a house for $10,000 less, you'd be paying, I think it was close to 3 times or 2 times the amount of the total loan for a lesser value house, just because the interest rate is so much higher than what it was before. And that is like a mind-blowing, you get to see the end game and how much you're paying and all this stuff.
100%. And most of it now, or more of it at least, is going towards the interest portion. Because you're right. We have to factor in home prices, and home prices were at their peak in March of 2022 or April. That's when the decline started. But at the same time, so home prices were coming down, but interest rates were going up. So the amount that people were paying per month is probably going to stay the same or maybe even go up because of the interest rate. It doesn't cover how much the home prices have come down.
And have you noticed in your area, because again, you are in the condo market in the Toronto area, correct?
I don't only do condos. I'm just outside of Toronto, actually, a place called Mississauga. So we're just west of Toronto. And I do, low-rise homes, detached houses, single-family homes, that kind of thing as well as condos.
And I apologize, I didn't mean to pigeonhole you in condos. I just know
okay.
I think the second or third time you were on, you talked about the makeup of Toronto and it being a lot of condos. So I guess more or less forced into that market.
In downtown, the downtown part of Toronto is pretty much all concrete jungle. So it's all the condos and stuff.
It's a good way to put it. Good way to put it. Gotta love the big cities.
Absolutely. Not for me, but for someone else, I'm sure.
Yes, definitely. I got out of the city as soon as I had a kid. I needed a driveway.
Nice. Yeah, I like the driveways. I like the space. I like backyards. I like that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So with the interest rates going up, the prices going down, have you noticed a change in where your clients are going? Are they being steered away from one type of hotbed that used to be the bread and butter of what you saw and what people were going after? Is there any sort of shift in what you're seeing with your clients because of the changing in home prices and interest rates
Yeah.
going up?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm working with a couple right now, and we started off looking at homes in the $1.1 million range. Uh, but as the months went by, again, home prices were increasing at about 4% a month since March of this year.
Wow.
So we lost out on a couple of bidding wars, and now all of a sudden that 1.1 is not buying them the house that they were hoping to get. So
Mm-hmm.
now she actually just emailed me this morning and is looking at condos. So she said, what kind of condo can we get? So now we're looking at a 700K budget for a condo as opposed to the 1.1 for a single family home. So it's changing their search, certainly, right? So that it is
Yeah.
affecting people this way. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like that's a good direction for them to go in, or is that more a force of the times?
It's a force of the times for sure. I mean, for them, I can't speak to what's best for them or not. They are a young couple. They just got married. They're living at her parents' home, so they do need to be on their own, whether it's their own place or whether it's a condo. They were hoping for their own place. Because their family is very close. So I guess they wanted to have some family with them. But now I guess their thought process has changed and thinking, what, maybe we can just be by ourselves in a condo kind of thing, right? So I guess it's changing the way they perceive themselves living in the near future. Yeah.
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 Man, there's upsides to they're not gonna have yard work.
Well, yeah,
So
that's a
that's
good,
good.
yeah, that's a good thing.
They can start their family and avoid the
Yeah,
yard work and
yeah,
everything
yeah.
else
There are
that
some
comes with the
pluses,
home.
certainly, but some people do enjoy the yard work. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep. Has the development been going down or
yeah,
picking up in like the metro area?
yeah, yeah. Certainly. I mean, I'm not too up to speed on new construction and things like that. It's not my. I don't do much of that, but I have heard that construction has slowed down, certainly.
Yeah.
And even some projects that were supposed to be completed are not being completed on time. They're being delayed. A lot of people are trying to get out of their commitments before they close. We call that an assignment sale. I don't know what you guys call it there. So, I mean, for sure, that has slowed down tremendously. So it's not only home prices that have come down, but there's a double whammy because construction costs have gone up, right? The cost of
Mm-hmm.
materials has gone up, with the supply chain shortages and all this, so builders are hit from both sides on that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's starting to level out from the building side, but there was a period where I felt like every week there was a new price for a 2x4 or a sheet of plywood. It
Yeah.
would vary
Yeah.
between like $10 by week, and it was super weird that it
Yeah.
fluctuated so well. It's kind of getting stable. It's still higher than
Yeah.
what we're used to, but
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was talking to a couple of contractor guys that I know, and they were saying they used to be able to buy 2x4s at $3 per
mm-hmm.
whatever they were getting. Now they're paying $9, so
Yep.
like 3 times as much as they were paying before.
And the
Yeah.
quality
Crazy.
went down.
Yeah, maybe
They're
that
way
as
more
well.
like contorted and all wavy. Like you have to take
Yeah.
so much more time to find the right pieces.
That's right. That's right. So that means you have to spend more on the wood to, filter out the good from the bad ones, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's insane.
And I will say that the loss of Canadian lumber hurt because I would see every 2x4 stamped with Canada.
Oh, is that
And
right?
then
Okay.
yeah, through
Nice.
the COVID period, it was changing because I think they were just trying to find anything. Just put 2x4s on the shelf wherever we can get them from.
Certainly. And I guess now with these forest fires, maybe that's going to get even worse because maybe there's going to be even less lumber to go around.
I hope
I don't want to get conspiracy theorists, but maybe they're doing that to pad their profit margins again.
You know what? That just crossed my mind as well.
They're creating a demand for it when it's a false. No, I saw the same thing when I was buying just some pine to put this tabletop together, and it had stamped made in Sweden.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I don't know why it stuck in my mind. I'm looking at like Sweden, but I'm like, okay, well, maybe they're the same supplier as IKEA, but IKEA stuff is mostly like pressed
Yeah.
particle
MDF.
stuff. Yeah,
Gotcha.
so
Gotcha.
interesting.
Wow. Yeah, maybe they are importing from Sweden. Oh.
Yeah,
It could be. On the forest fires, because I haven't read anything on it. Do they have like a theory of how it all started, or because I don't know where it's located? I've never seen a picture or anything. I've just heard it's been going on.
Yeah, I haven't dived into it too much either. Our premier, like we have how you have governors of states, we have premiers of the province, right? So our premier suggested that it was negligent campers, setting fires and things like that, and all the dry wood and brush and all this stuff, right? So a combination of those two things. But who knows? Who knows? I mean, Dan may have touched on something there, because there have been farms being set on fire as well, like all the crops being burned and things like that in the US, right? So I've heard about that. So are they
this is turning into a conspiracy theory
there
show.
we go.
I like
there
it.
we go. Yeah, no, I'm far from a conspiracy theorist, but you got to wonder, like, what's going on here? Like, why are all these crops being burned at the same time where the price of food has gone through the roof? So is it going up intentionally? Like, I don't know. It's weird.
I think every industry is seeing that they can increase price and like increase price solely for profit, and that's it. Like there's no justification other than saying that there's a supply issue or demand is going up. I had a guy randomly stop me the other day at the grocery store. He's like, I just came from Florida, and he's like, everything is like 2 or 3 times more expensive up here in Wisconsin than it is down in Florida. And we have no reason why, or can't figure out why, but if all these industries shifting, right, trying to take advantage of eggs for a while, toilet paper for a while, gas, like, but there's no, I guess, true or legitimate reason why that the prices have increased, other than, hey, let's just raise prices so that we can increase our profits. And
that's the way I feel as well. Like, just stop increasing prices, and then
when there's smoke,
maybe
there's
that'll
fire,
bring
right?
down inflation. Yeah, literally. So maybe that'll bring down inflation if you go after these companies and tell them stop increasing prices, stop burning your crops and things like that.
Yeah.
Just the thought.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's kind of cool. And I've always talked about, for me, it was Walmart. There was always like back in the day, there was this anti-Walmart push.
Yeah.
And I couldn't understand why people would bash a company and then go there and buy stuff from them. I'm like, you're doing the opposite of what you want to do. So in a little regard, I'm happy to see the boycotts that are going on about things that we don't like.
Yeah.
But also, like, I hope they're directed and they continue to be directed in the right way, and they can stop when they need to stop. Because that is, again, there's always a too much.
Yeah.
Like everything is good in moderation, but once it gets too far, then we're like, okay, we got to slow down here.
But at the same time, maybe these people that are protesting also are hurting, so if they can't afford to go anywhere else and Walmart is their cheapest option, so, they end up being hypocrites, right? So, it is tough.
Yeah. So we'll see how that all shakes out. But in on the building side, it's super hard. You can't go to another vendor because the other vendor is going to charge you about the same price as well. Mm-hmm. So even if you don't like the brand, like, you're stuck because it's a resource, I guess.
Yeah. That's right.
So we'll see, I guess, where that shakes out. But the forest isn't, or the forest fire is not in any type of residential area, so it's not affecting the landscape of the real estate in the area, correct?
No, not yet. It's far from us. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Thank God. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I was going to say, it's going to be great driving to showings with the forest going on
the forest in the background. It'll be like Twister.
This house may or may not be there on closing day. We'll see.
Exactly. Yeah, you better get a short closing if you want to enjoy your house.
Quick closing.
Quick closing. If I want to get my paycheck.
Yeah. Have you been noticing anything with, obviously the prices of homes are going up. have you seen, I know there's going to be a correlation with the average home sale, just with prices going up, your home sale is going to go up. Do you see the buyer pool moving into more of a B, C class and the A's are left vacant? Because I'm making the analogy in the rental world. When we're in a climate like this, on the rental side of things, everybody drops a class. So if you're renting an A apartment, a luxury apartment, you go to a B. B's would go to C, C's would go to D. Helps save money, which really in inflation times, you're not saving money, you're just paying the same for less quality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are
No,
you seeing that in your area where they're buying less luxury and just
yeah.
trying to get into something?
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of it that way, but it is happening. I had a gentleman who, I mean, his budget did not match the what he was looking for, So there's a great meme circulating right now with Joe Pesci. If you want to search for it, it's hilarious. It says when your clients budget doesn't match the actual house, and I'm not sure what movie it's from, maybe Goodfellas or something, and he's like, what the fuck is this? You know how Joe Pesci talks, right? So, sorry for the language, but I'm just quoting him. So it's hilarious. But that's pretty much what's happening, right?
Yeah.
I'm showing him around. He tells me his budget. He wants to keep it under 500,000. So I'm showing him, this is what you're going to get under 500,000. He's like walking in there like, no, I have no interest whatsoever. And then I show him something that's over 500,000. It's much nicer. And he says, okay, I really like this. And I said, okay, I don't want to mention his name, but we'll just call him Joe. Hey, Joe, this is going to sell. They're holding back offers here. It's going to get multiples. It's probably going to sell around 510. You okay with that? And he goes, yeah, what if we offer 480? And I'm like, oh, actually, no, he said 465 at first. I'm like, come on, like it's not even going to work. They're not even going to look at your offer. So I got him up to 480. It went nowhere, obviously. It did end up selling for 510 for exact amount that I had predicted. So that was one lesson, but eventually he kind of, understood what his budget is going to get him. And he did end up settling for something much smaller. Class wise, it was okay. It was a nice place and a nice location, but it was much smaller than what he had hoped for. Right. So he had to compromise on the size. Yeah.
Yeah. The sticker shock is real is Joe a new home buyer or first time home buyer?
Well, no, yes and no. I mean, he did own a home with his wife, but they're split now. So it's the first time he's buying on his own.
Okay. Yeah. I've seen new home buyers get kind of the sticker shock of, this is what I want. Exactly. And we call it the Pinterest effect.
Yeah.
Like you look at all the Pinterest photos and you want that, and then you want the home, and then you see the price and you're like, well, I can't do that. And then you see what you actually get. And
the previous couple I mentioned are first-time home buyers, so they're getting that Pinterest shock.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
And I want to, even if you ask them all the questions of what they want and what their needs are, like from 1 to 10, what is I can't do this without it. So a backyard, if you need a backyard, that's your number one thing. And once they go through a couple houses, then it all kind of changes because they see how much a first floor laundry would get them, or what 3,000 square feet would cost. Like those type of things that you can't articulate until you're standing in the house.
100%. Yeah.
There's
slow decision makers, that gets even worse because prices are going up, every day.
Yes.
So, and that's something that they learn sometimes the hard way.
Yeah. And I know you mentioned a meme. The one that I've seen a few times around here, it's kind of like a HGTV episode where they take a snippet off. I don't know who the buyers are or the agent, but the caption's like, I'm a preschool teacher and my husband makes pottery. Our budget is 1.5 million.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
I don't think that's going to work.
Yeah. There's a lot of variations of those ones. Right. So I've seen that. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
So we see the going back to the interest rate here. We're going to try to go into the future predictions of the Toronto market with it ever changing week by week. So your interest rate just got announced. The next one's going to be out in July.
Correct.
You said?
Yeah.
You kind of predicted it's going to stunt it a little bit, correct?
I think so. Because this it's going to bring down buying power, right? So people are going to be qualifying for less. And the last time they started this ball rolling with the interest rates, it did affect the market. So especially now, if they do 2 consecutive ones, one now and one in July, I think it's really going to be a slow summer. Yeah, with respect to buying real estate, and you might see prices come down a little bit.
Yeah. And you were an agent during the last recession, correct? Like the 9, 10 or 8, 9, 10.
No, I hadn't had my license at that point. No.
Okay.
I got it shortly thereafter.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, because I was not involved in real estate at that point either. So even though this has happened before, I can go on data, but I can't go from experience. So I'm super curious to see, like you're saying, back-to-back interest rate hikes. We're in this period right now where everything is inflated. They're talking about the doomsday scenario of a depression coming on. What will happen and how is that going to affect clients and how it's going to affect investors? Because this is my first time through it.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious to see what happens with that one as well.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows? All I can say is that here in Canada, I think we're a little more prudent in terms of lending than the U.S. is. So you mentioned the 2008 crash. The U.S. got hit a lot harder than we did. We had a bit of a recession at that point. Home prices went down, but we rebounded quickly. And since then, they have brought in some measures to help home buyers. Like we brought in something called a stress test. So basically, you have to qualify at 2 percentage points higher than what your mortgage rate is going to be. So anybody taking out, say in today's, let's say they get a 7% interest rate, they have to qualify at 9%. So even if it does increase more, at least they know they have that cushion, so that they can still pay their mortgages. But I'm worried about the people who qualified at like 5.25 or something like that, which was the stress test rate. Like, so it was either 2% higher than what you would qualify for, or the 5.25, whichever is higher, right? So the ones that did qualify at 5.25, now we're already almost 2 points over that, right? In some cases we are over that. So who knows if those people will be able to pay their mortgages on renewal. And again, I don't know how it works down there, but here most people take out a 5-year term. So they have, maybe they might have a 25 or 30-year amortization, but it goes in chunks, right? So there's a 5-year term. At the end of that 5 years, you have to renew, right? Sometimes it's less than 5 years.
Okay. You're talking about an ARM, right? A 5-1?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
or
something like that.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, okay. Whatever you guys call it, I'm not sure. But I'm thinking about the people in 2020, 2021, and maybe early 2022 when the interest rates were dirt cheap. So they may have taken out a mortgage at say 3.25, and then stress test at 5.25. And if they only got a short term, what's going to happen in 2025, 2026, 2027 if these interest rates are still high there? So
we made that mistake.
Yeah.
We thought we were getting a 30-year fixed. Signed the paperwork. We tried verifying it with the mortgage company. Got to closing. I don't want to say incorrectly assumed that it was a 30-year term, and it ends up being a 5-1. So after 5 years, because we bought our house in October of 2020, in 5 years it can increase, but only 1%.
Oh, I see.
It will only be 1% every year on that anniversary date.
Oh, wow.
So we kind of lucked out, but I think because we didn't put the full 20% down on the property because we used
Yeah.
the funds for a little bit of light renovation.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I
yeah,
like
we were
that. I
nervous
like
about
that
that
method
situation.
better because now you know at least if it goes up, it's only going to go up by 1%,
Yeah,
regardless of
yeah.
what the actual interest rates are. So that method is actually better because I think some of these people in next year or the following year are going to have some tough decisions to make.
Yeah.
You know, sell your house or sell the kids or something. I don't know.
And that's another thing
right?
that people like.
Tell the kids.
There's a lot of people also that were buying cars. So they were
Oh yeah.
buying cars at an overinflated like sticker price, right? Because cars were hard to come by. So they're paying,
Yeah.
they're over leveraged on the vehicles. And if those start to slip or they can't make those payments, it's going to trickle into the housing market. Not maybe as substantially, but you will see those trickling in and people having to sell one or the other or both
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the payments are going to put them out of
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
able to
What
survive
100%.
financially.
One of my mortgage brokers, he's got something called the used Porsche tracker. So since September, he's been tracking how many people are selling their Porsches, right? So because all the toys are going to go according to him, right? So
Yep.
people can't. They need to. They're not gonna. The house is the last thing they're gonna
Yep.
lose, right? So they have to sell everything else off, and it's gone up since September. It's gone up, so it was about 9,000 or something. Now it's at 11,000 people or sorry, not 9,000, 900. Now it's 1,100 people selling their Porsches in his
Wow.
area. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So not even in rental markets, they move down in class. In the automotive market, they move down in class.
There you go. Exactly.
You're going to see a lot more Geo
Yeah.
Metros going around. They're bringing those back.
Geo, when's the
That's
last time Geo's produced a car, man? Come on, you could have said
They're gonna
Pontiac
come
or
back.
Buick or Oldsmobile would have been a little bit more recent.
Pontiac's gone
I
too.
think.
I know.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. It was a more recent loss. I think that was 2008, 2009. They produced their last ones.
Yeah.
Didn't GM buy them?
They had them under their umbrella for a long
they
time.
did.
Same with Oldsmobile and Geo. Yeah,
Okay.
Geo Prisms and Chevy Prisms were the same car. Toyota Corolla shared the same engine, all that good stuff. So
Wow. What's that Ford model that the cheap one?
the Fiesta, Focus.
It was one that yeah.
Oh, the
like
Focus.
No, there was another one. It was that they stopped making or something. I can't remember.
The Dart. They brought the Dart back.
Did they really?
Dodge.
They brought it.
Dart.
I mean, that was what 5-10 years ago. They brought the Dart back.
Yeah, that, and then they introduced the Chrysler 200, which is basically the sister,
of the
family,
300?
like the cousin of it, because it's Chrysler and Dodge were same umbrella as well, all owned by Daimler Chrysler and over in Europe. I think it's Germany or whatever.
I wish I knew more about cars. I don't know the whole background of those things.
I've had way too many cars, I'm willing to admit. Every couple of years I would get a new car, and I finally got out of my bad habit with that and started getting smarter with not having a car loan and all that good stuff. But
your last one was a good purchase. That thing is a boat, though.
Yeah.
He went down in his automotive class and he bought like a small tugboat.
It's a 99 Mercury Grand Marquis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It had low mileage, 35,000 miles, and I just bought it 2 years ago. So
wow.
Absolutely.
Nice.
I'm trying to remember what that Ford one is. It might have been called something different in Canada, though. That could be where the confusion comes. I don't know. I mean, there's the Fiesta, the Ford Fusion. Was it long, like older, like late 90s or 80s or 2000s?
I have no idea.
Rambler?
The Rambler. Yeah. No, when I was 16, I started learning to drive on my parents' Chevy Impala wagon.
Ooh.
So I know all about big boats, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it made me a better driver because now if I can steer that thing, I can steer anything.
Yeah. Yep.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
There you go.
I mean, I do have a question on that. With those the new home buyers that had that Pinterest effect.
Yeah.
As an agent, what are things that you do with those new time home buyers in your efforts to hopefully, like, I don't know, readjust their focus or readjust their lenses in terms of, all right, when I'm looking at real estate, I put my real estate glasses on. You got to get rid of the Pinterest filter and just see what it is. Do you have tactics, or have you learned tactics or been taught like little things to do and how to pull their realistic thought process back in.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. With you got to get to know the people, right? So see, I mean, they might tell you one thing, but they might be thinking something else, and you never know who they're influenced by, right? I know with this couple, they lean a lot on their family, right? So their family has a big influence on them, especially the girl's mom. So I go directly to the source, right? Because she brought her mom a couple times on the showings as well. So now I'm kind of talking to her as well, because I don't want to point the finger at her, but it's because of her. They listened to her instead of listening to me when they lost out on the bidding war. So I told them it's going to sell for X. She said, no, we're going to go in at Y. And guess what? They lost it, right? So that's a lesson. I was hoping that was a lesson for them to learn, but unfortunately they still doing the same thing, because the mom has a big influence over them. So I try and I find out exactly how their thought process is, and who they're getting their information
Who's
from,
pulling
and
the
maybe
strings.
who's pulling the strings exactly, and just talk to that person, right? Go to the source, right? And say, hey, you know what, and make them see the light and say, look, this, I mean, I know you love your kids. I know you mean well. Your intentions are good, but this is not going to happen, right? What you're saying and what you're suggesting, right? This
You
is
ever go to
reality.
her direct and just say, "Hey, I appreciate the input. You're guiding them right or wrong, but are you going to be helping them financially make this decision?" Right? So you could have the best intentions for your kid, but they're the ones that have to live in it. They have to pay for it.
Yeah.
You're giving them unrealistic expectations with what they can either afford or what we're able to find for them.
Yeah. I think there is that element as well. I
Okay.
think if they were going to be going with the $1.1 million house, I think she was going to have, some financial input there as well. So I think that's part of it as well. So that's why they lean on her so much, right? And now that they've shifted to the condo, maybe she won't be as involved, right? Because we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. There have been a couple buyers that I would sit down, and the couples are a little difficult because you'll have the husband that wants X and the wife that wants Y.
Yeah.
And you don't know how you're going to find a tri-level ranch with no yard yet an acre. So like you're
barn.
trying to,
you're
trying to meet in the middle somewhere.
Man
But the
cave in
other
a
thing
she
is,
shed.
She shed,
is the family focus.
Yeah.
Some parents or relatives will help with the down payment. So now they're brought in.
Yeah. That's right.
I've had one where my clients weren't looking for a full fixer upper, but they wanted to put some of their personal touch in. And their grandfather was a contractor for 30 years.
Okay.
So as you talk to him and as you ask him questions, more and more comes out. And I've never been the one to shy away from, okay, if your grandpa is a contractor and he's going to be working on the house, have him come to the showing with us. And I'll sit and I'll say, hey, I've been a contractor for X years. You've been a contractor for 20 years. So I'm just going to follow you around and you tell me. Yeah. They like to be,
make them feel part of the decision-making process.
Exactly.
Right? So
and at the end, I'll let them know that, hey, at the end of the day, this is going to be your decision. I can tell you if I think it's going to work or not, but at the end of the day, we don't know until the offer gets put in and we get an answer. So I'm trying to help you from what I've seen. Your grandpa or your mom is trying to help you with what they've seen or what they can supply. But at the end of the day, it comes down to you and your decision. So you have to feel comfortable. Yeah. But I will be direct and I'll tell you that I do not think that'll work if I don't think it's going to work. If you're going to offer 50,000 lower because your mom said that we should offer 50,000 lower, I'll flat out tell you that this is not going to work.
Yeah. That's pretty much the case.
Unfortunately, we put in the offer and then they get upset. And hopefully they don't get upset at you. As long as you can.
Me.
I know. And that's the tough part where you have to say, like, I do not suggest you do this. I don't think it's going to be a good idea.
Yeah.
But it'll always come back to you, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're the one delivering the news.
Yeah. Yes. That's it. Shoot the messenger, right?
You're right.
I know. Hopefully you can, and I also feel that if I can get in front of that, I'm going to call it the quote unquote decision maker, because in that scenario, the mother would be the decision maker.
Correct.
if you can talk to them and try to ask them questions to see where they're coming from, it may help you kind of guide your actual clients as well. So you're not talking through a filter. Because I never feel like the end person gets, I don't get the right message from the mom through the filter, and the mom doesn't get the right filter or the message through the filter from me.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So if we can bring them together, I feel like
100%. I always like to talk to everybody at the same time. So I had a situation where we've had a few times actually on the selling side, right? So there was two different sellers, whether they were sisters, or so they weren't necessarily a couple, they were just two people that happen to own the house. So, and it's difficult because you got to get them both on the phone at the same time, because again, things can get lost in translation if you tell one person and the other side, especially if there's conflict between the two, right? So
yes,
the one side thinks you're favoring the other side, and it just becomes a big mess, right? This happens in divorce situations or estate situations where the siblings can't agree on stuff, stuff like that.
Yeah. I had talked to an agent early on in my real estate days, and that agent did primarily divorce sales.
Yeah.
And I was like, that has got to be a mentally exhausting market.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, half the time I'm an agent and half the time I'm a therapist.
There you go. There you go.
You just hope that they're cordial.
Exactly. And if they're not, that means you got to do double the work, because whatever you tell to one spouse, you got to tell to the other spouse. And it just, got to double up on everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And he talked about phone calls. He'd have to call the husband or the one party and then call the other party. And okay, well, that gave me news, so I got to call them back.
Yeah. And who do you call first?
They wouldn't jump on a phone call together.
No, exactly. Oh, does my husband know? Yeah, already. Why'd you call him first? Oh,
right.
You can't.
Yeah.
It's a no-win situation. Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. Man, but you're all just trying to get to the end game, and hopefully you can just unify them at much to that point. But oh, that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah.
So we're in July. I'm trying to think of when we could get you back, because I want to constantly track with how this interest rate situation's going, because over here I feel like we're in a very unique kind of area, because we actually just passed legislation for like loan assistance.
Oh, so, really?
Yeah, the clients with a higher interest rate are now there's tacking on points so that you can help with some of the more at-risk loans. So higher credit score, you pay more to assist with the lower credit score lenders or lendings.
Okay.
And that started back in late March, I believe, or early April. So I think that's going to be our biggest yet to see what happens. Because I think you were trying to explain about the protection in the loans and how Canada has the 2 percentage points higher.
Yeah.
And I'd like to look back, because I might be way off on this one, but when we tried to come out of the last depression, we started opening up lending to some riskier loans, which would then foreclose, and then we had our foreclosure upswing. And I think this is an effort to try to mitigate that from happening again.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of pushback with people about, obviously, why am I paying for an at-risk loan when I'm not at risk?
Yeah.
So, and then on top of that, with the interest rates going higher, I am super curious to see what happens through the summer months, when normally we're seeing our uptick. What's going to happen? Because there's still houses on the market. It's lower, but I don't see a mad dash, or maybe I'm just skewed because I saw a mad dash through COVID. Like, I'm not taking out those 2 years maybe like you are.
Yeah. Well, I only take them out when I'm trying to look at stats and compare today's market to a normal market, right? Because those were far from normal.
Those are anomalies,
yeah, exact anomalies. 2022 was not a normal market. Things were going down the toilet. 2021 also was not a normal market, because it was going the other way. It was just increasing craziness. It was double-digit appreciation we saw month over month. How is that sustainable? It's not.
Yeah.
Right? And we saw what happened the following year. And 2020 also wasn't normal because that's when the pandemic first started. So we saw, everything there. So we saw the market just stop for 6 weeks. Nothing was selling. And then all of a sudden it took off again because they brought the interest rates way down, So when interest rates are being toyed around like that, then it's going to affect the market in weird ways. So I always look at 2019 and earlier.
Yeah. So it's going to be a wild kind of, a wild time for some people. I'm kind of scared that we're going to have another market where we're going to have a lot of foreclosures, because I feel like there's a lot of, Dan, you can, correct me or put your input in, but I feel like there's a lot of push for people to buy right now rather than rent, and I feel like some people are going to get put out of their means quickly, which is what scares me. And some of it might not be their own doing. There could be layoffs coming where people aren't going to make their payments. So I just don't know, and that's my curiosity of how bad this is going to fall.
As you were talking, I just looked up, when the next meeting is to discuss the interest rate for the US, and they said it's supposed to be next week, but they are mentioning or leaning towards a skip instead of a pause as far as the interest rate. So pause means it's just on hold and it could possibly go down. Skip means they're not going to do anything this next meeting, but it could possibly still go up later. Who knows? And I think I just checked our federal rate right now is 5.25.
Okay, so you're already there.
Yep. Yeah, we've been seeing like in between 7 and 8s primarily here.
Right.
That's
so you have the same system. There's a prime number attached to the.
I think is it 185 or something like that, or one something.
It's close to that. It's just under 2, but I couldn't give you the real number on that one.
Okay.
Are you looking it up right now?
I'm trying. Yeah.
Okay. We'll get the number. But as he's looking, Lambros, for you specifically, because we only got like 5-10 minutes left.
Sure.
So for you specifically in your business, are there things that you're focusing on till the end of the year or through the summer months to try and get your production up with everything we just discussed, with everything that's going on? Kind of where are you putting your head down and you're saying like, this is where I'm going to hit it hard and this is what I'm going to focus on in order to get me to the end of 2023?
Yeah, great question. And that thought has crossed my mind. So I believe I have to go back to basics, back to fundamentals, look at where most of my business has come from. And it's been from my database. So repeat and referral business. So just more connection with my database, talking to people, getting face-to-face with them or phone calls or something like that. Just the basic stuff. We could look at all the shiny new toys and things that are out there, like social media and all these lead gen things that people want to sell you, but nothing beats just the personal connections with people, because they have to you have to be top of mind with them, regardless of how much they know you, like you, or trust you. If you're not top of mind with them, people buy on emotion, right? Or they sell on emotion. So if someone's in a situation whereby, they're looking at their mortgage payments month over month, they're going to make an emotional decision, hey, we have to sell. And if they see a place that they like, maybe they were thinking of retiring in a couple of years and downsizing, well, maybe those plans have now moved up. And they go out and they see a condo and there's a salesperson there and they say, hey, you know what? Yeah, okay, we'll buy it. We like this place. And then that salesperson says, hey, I'll give you a good deal if you let me sell your house as well, right? So and all of a sudden, next thing you know, they got their house on the market. They were good friends of yours. You know them for 20 years, whatever. And they say, hey, Lambros, thanks for checking in. It's great. We actually bought a condo and we're selling our house. I'm like, oh, great. Congratulations, guys. Like, what a slap in the face. Thanks.
Yeah.
So that's why, you have to be top of mind with them and be there before that emotional decision comes in.
Yep. Yeah. And I know you're active on social media, which can you let us know, or the listeners know, what your name is on Instagram and on Facebook? Because
Yeah,
I
I'd
know
love
you're
to.
active and you've always got your face out there on there. So
Yeah, yeah, 100%. It's at Heart and Sold with a D, GTA. So it's a play on words, right? Heart and Soul
yeah,
is Heart and Sold, and GTA is the area that I'm trading in. So Toronto is the Greater Toronto area because I'm just outside of Toronto, so that's where the GTA comes from. So it's I'll put it in the chat. So just make sure there's
awesome. Yeah, and we'll put that
no
in the show notes as well, because
yeah,
you always have content going out. Our last two guests have been big on social media, and I
beautiful.
know that you talk about face-to-face stuff. So for all the new agents going in, and I'm sure John from last week would tell you the same thing. The social media, getting your face out there, is good,
Yeah,
uh, but like you said, nothing beats the face-to-face or the personal connection to it.
100%. No, no, I agree. I couldn't agree more. I have gotten some business from the social media, but most of my business has come from face-to-face stuff like repeat and referral, people that I know in my database for sure. So social media is a good way to get people into the database, right? And then
Yeah.
eventually they're going to transact with you at some point, right?
Yeah. And is your database all built up on people that you've either got referred to or have met, or do you use one of those software systems that generates leads and does all that?
No, I'm not a big fan of online generation of leads. I have tried that. I've dipped my toe into that, and the quality of leads that you get, they're not great. Having said that, I have had some success as well. So it's like a toss of the dice, but I'm not sure. Like I haven't crunched the numbers. I'm not a numbers guy in that respect, so I don't know what the ROI is on that from the money I've spent. In terms of getting an actual deal and if it's worth it or not.
Yeah.
I can tell you from the ROI from the database is probably much higher because there's it's free to pick up the phone and talk to somebody, right? And it's free to make a post on Instagram and things like that. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah.
In the one thing that I've gotten away from, and this was kind of my thought process when I started, was in me and Dan, we worked at a different company. We were both in sales, and I was in sales before that. I feel like ever since I got out of college, I was in sales.
Mm.
And the one thing that always kind of bugged me was when manager would talk about ROI with leads and stuff. Sales is very hard to calculate an ROI, a true ROI. Because
Mhm.
yes, I can say I spent $15 a month on this software system. My time for all my calls is X. So I can quantify that. But when I sit down and have coffee with somebody or have a great conversation on the phone who leads to two other leads, like, yes, that phone call in total might have costed me $3,
Right.
but what is like the true ROI of a personal connection and a relationship with the person, which is what sales is. It's a personal
Yeah,
connection.
I
So
agree.
it's kind of tough. I feel like they have to create some sort of, like, ROI is for the accountants. Like, live in the numbers
So
world
Yeah.
where
is there a
sales
different way?
is,
Is there a different way to like define that? So like when you say ROI, it's obviously looking at the business side. If you were your own independent sales like we had to do, I look at it as cost of acquisition or cost of, so like you said, if we go out to coffee, the cost of the cup of coffee, when you're sitting there, you really don't, you're not getting paid an hourly rate to be there. It's
yeah,
just at the end, how much time did you put in? What was your net return, your commission on that? And then if you spent 22 hours on, acquiring them, you divide that by your commission. You're like, okay, well, was that worth it? And then you could go so down. I had to get gas. I had to get a car wash. I had to do this on the way there. Like, there's so much stuff that.
That's right.
So there's
That's
like
yeah,
right.
you could almost get lost in all of the analytics behind it. But if you're more efficient and like you said, if you utilize that one person and you say, hey, if you're not interested in using my services, no harm, but you have, a couple of referrals you could ask me of. And that was one thing that I think I took away and that is beneficial to building your own book of business in whatever field it's
yeah,
in, because referrals are
yeah.
huge.
And like you're saying, it's not a simple equation that you can come up with quickly. So
Right.
Lambros,
No,
in your
it's not.
defense, for you not to know your ROI, I get it. Um, Because if I go out to coffee and they don't work with me, but they refer me to somebody else, and then that person 5 years later refers me to this person, but they're a property manager and has 50 apartment complexes. Do I chalk that up to my first coffee meeting with the person that didn't work with me?
Exactly.
Or did I just do what I had to do to make my connections and connect with people?
100%. I have a guy who reached out to me. First met him 10 years ago. I was handing out some flyers in a neighborhood, and he happened to be in his garage, right? So we just struck up a conversation. And since that time, I put him in my database, just sending him, monthly email updates, and all of a sudden he reaches out to me. And he's like, hey, you know what? My mother's my wife's mother passed away. Now they want to sell their house. Do you have some time to come and take a look, kind of thing?
Yeah.
Right? So you never know. Yeah, you never know where this business is going to come from.
Yep. I just had the builder that helped me build my house. We'd kept in touch, but I'd never sent him anything about agency or buying, selling. And a couple years ago, he had reached out and said, "Oh, my parents have passed. They're going to sell the house. We just wanted to come to you because we know that you're an investor, and would you be interested?" And I said, "Oh, I'm also an agent. Would you?" We can do this two ways. I can give you a letter of intent of buying your house. So at least the house will sell by this date. But I'm also an agent, and I think on the market you can get more money. So do you want to go to the market with this letter of intent in hand? So we'll put it on the market. If it doesn't sell, I'll buy it. Or you can go on the market. The market is super hot right now, and you can try to get top dollar for it. So I worked with them. They weren't even in my marketing. I paid him to help me build the house, and it came with the real estate deal. So you never know how it's all going to turn out. You just got to be very persistent, put your face out there, and connect with people. And
exactly, like I said, you just got to be top of mind with these people, and be there whenever the time comes for them to make that decision. Yeah.
Well, keep it up, keep busy, stay cool, stay out of the fire.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
And we're going to check back with you probably in the fall just to see where everything shook out in the greater Toronto area.
Sure. Yeah. Sounds good.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. Thanks,
guys. I appreciate it as well. Thanks for having me on. It's always fun. Thanks.
Yeah, always great having you on. So we'll talk to you soon. Have a good weekend.
You bet. You too. Take care, guys.
See ya.